Hello everyone and welcome. Good morning to everyone joining us for the 5th webinar series of the AI Pact webinar. The AI Pact is an initiative that was launched by the European Commission last year to make sure that we could engage with AI stakeholders, to keep up to date on the AI office's activities, and especially to support with the implementation of the AI Act regulation, which came into force on 1st August 2024. I'm Gail Rego and I'll be your moderator today. I work closely in the stakeholder outreach and communications group at the AI office, and I work closely with the AI Pact team as well. Before introducing our guests, today's webinar will basically be focusing on the AI Continent Action Plan and the Apply AI strategy. And we'll be dividing this webinar into 3 main parts. The first will look into the data and the computing infrastructure. The second part will look into AI talent and the adoption and acceleration by businesses and other stakeholders. And finally, for the third section, we'll be looking a lot more into the AI regulatory framework. Finally, before I introduce our guests, we always try to make these webinars interactive, and so you'll be able to ask questions, which I'll take at the end of these 3 sections, and you should be able to do that just by using the QR code that you see on the screen now. So we look forward to answering your questions during this session. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our 3 guests here. Today we have with us Gaspard Demure, who is the Deputy Head of Unit at the AI Innovation and Policy Coordination Unit at the AI Office. We have Juan Pellegrin, who is the Head of Exascale Computing at the High Performance Computing and Applications Unit at DG Connect. And last but not least, we have Laura Ugel, who is a Legal and Policy Officer in the AI Regulation and Compliance Unit at the AI Office. Thank you so much to the 3 of you for being with us.
Our pleasure.
All right, so with further ado, we're going to jump right into part 1, which is going to be focusing on data and computing infrastructure. Gaspard, the first question goes to you. Big responsibility here to set that important context first. Why did the European Commission launch the AI Continent Action Plan recently? Was the timing of the publication particularly important? And what is the main rationale of this document?
So thanks a lot for having us there. I mean, this is a defining moment for AI at global level. There is a global competition on AI, and clearly the EU wants to be a leader in that race. We've seen very large investments in the US on AI. We've seen DeepSeek development in China, and I think the AI summit in Paris in February was a defining moment where our president set the vision for the EU to become an AI continent. That's the reason why we developed then the action plan that was adopted on the 9th of April to go into the specifics for making this vision a reality. 5 main pillars, and maybe you will see these 5 pillars on the slide on your screen. But to make the EU become a leader, we need first the infrastructure for competing at global level, the computing power for training very large next generation AI models. It means we really want to stay in the race for developing the large models, and this is a very important part of the strategy. We will also need the cloud to fine-tune and also for the inference of the model. So we'll come back to that in a moment with Juan. But infrastructure without data is nothing. So that's the reason why the second pillar of this AI continent is to make sure that developers in the EU have access easily to a large volume of high quality data. We will also develop this element. I think a key element of the strategy is also to build on the strengths of the European Union in terms of AI. We have sectors in our economy that are global leaders, and adapting AI to this sector is really part of the strategy. That's where we can really add value to other actors in the rest of the world. And for that, fourth dimension, we need the skills. We have a lot of talents in Europe on AI. We want to boost this by having more talents, more training, but also bring back the talents from the European Union that are working in the rest of the world. The geopolitics helps us in a way in that dimension. We also want to attract talents from the rest of the world, say that they are welcome to Europe to work on AI with us. Finally, we have set a very strong internal market legislation on AI. We're very proud about that. We want to help companies to implement this framework, this regulatory framework, and we have a number of tools to make it easy for companies to comply. We'll go into the specifics.
Thank you for that very helpful overview. Juan, over to you to talk a little bit more specifically about the different aspects of the AI continent. The action plan heavily references AI factories. So let's start by understanding what they are and why do they matter?
So firstly, thank you for inviting us to share with the audience the concept of an AI factory. So the idea behind an AI factory is basically to bolster the leadership of European startups and researchers in order to enhance the European AI ecosystem. That would be my first message. So what's an AI factory? Ideally, it's an open and dynamic environment nurtured around our network of HPC supercomputers, and around the supercomputers there are the different elements that can drive the success. So which are these elements? We're talking, as mentioned by Gaspar, the availability of data, availability of support service in terms of algorithmics, the provision of the necessary skills, and links to the other different European initiatives in the area of AI, so that we can really enhance the different activities with a common goal. And finally, a key element here would be the provision of computing access through one click to any user. So what I want here, the message here is that any European startup and academic, in one click, they can have access to European compute. We have streamlined the access modes, so it's now ultra fast with very limited administrative burden. So we're really trying to facilitate that all our users can have access to this compute capacity and service. If I may add, I think we're going to have now a slide. We've been very successful. This initiative was launched in January last year. We adopted the legislation in summer, and then we launched the activities. And in really speed of light time, we managed already to select 13 AI factories across Europe. We've been really successful. We've mobilized already around 2 billion euros from member states and the EU to deploy these AI factories. I would like to add that our final third call is now in the 30th of June. So we are expecting now, again, more factories to be deployed across the continent to facilitate and to help really European startups and academics to really enhance the European AI activities.
Great. There's definitely a lot of antennas also and other interesting elements linked to this. But before I ask you about that, what is the interrelation between AI factories and the European High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking, which you just mentioned, and which we can also abbreviate to EuroHPC-JU for short, just so our viewers.
Good. So the EuroHPC is the legal and financial instrument that was deployed and set up in 2018 in order to mobilize European and member states funds, pulling resources in a common goal in one entity. And then the idea also behind the JU is that we align the European HPC strategy with that of the member state. So we have a common approach, and once we have that strategy aligned, we pull in financial resources towards a strategic objective. So basically it's the instrument that we have to channel all our activities. So for example, with regards to AI factories, these are owned, the systems are owned by the JU, and then as I said previously, the JU is the single access point to the provision of compute and services. So they are key and fundamental for the success of the AI factories. I would like to just signal that the RHPC has already had great successes. We have a massive and world-class RHPC infrastructure deployed in Europe with 8 systems already across Europe, and an additional exascale is in the pipeline. So the JU have to signal that has delivered, and now Europe is now again in the world race with regards to the computing capacity at world level.
That's very good news to hear. Juan, what about these other satellite concepts such as AI factory antennas, AI optimized factory supercomputers, as well as gigafactories?
Okay, let me clarify a bit the concept so everybody can see how they are interlinked. So all the factories have to be associated to an AI optimized supercomputer. The idea is that these supercomputers are tailored for the needs of AI startups and AI researchers or researchers that want to do AI activities. So that's the key and fundamental element. And then all the services are surrounding that supercomputer. What's an antenna? An AI factory antenna is like a factory, but without the computing capacity. So some countries do not have today the willingness, or it's not a priority for them, to invest in a large infrastructure. But they nevertheless want to support their national ecosystem and European AI ecosystem. So the idea is to deploy at national level all the services I mentioned before, the access, the support, the programming environments at a national level, and these antennas will get all the compute from an established AI factory. So Lumi, Barcelona, all the AI factories that have been established will provide the compute to these antennas. Just to signal to the audience that there's a call now open, and with a deadline on the 8th of July, and we're expecting, we do know already that there's a lot of interest with different countries to establish an antenna. So this will complement the activities of the factories. So the idea is that we have provide these AI factories, big AI factories, all the antennas across Europe, so that we can really help and support all our ecosystem. Finally, I think you mentioned also Gigafactories.
I did.
Okay, so Gigafactories is now the new kid on the block. It was launched, the idea, by a president, as mentioned by Gaspar, in the Paris summit in February. And the idea, which building on the AI factory, is to the next generation, the next level of compute in Europe. These are really massive compute infrastructures. We are talking here about hundreds of thousands of GPUs to be available, massive compute to facilitate the deployment, the training, development training, and operational of AI models in Europe. Really the big ones, the more complex ones, try to anticipate the next generation of AI models. That's the idea. This is a gigafactory. In this context, we are aiming to mobilize the so-called InvestAI Facility. Each gigafactory is foreseen to be an investment requirement of 5 billion. So in this context, we're now preparing the work for the gigafactories. We have launched a non-binding call for expression of interest, so that first proposers can share with us their ideas on what a gigafactory would be, how this can be organized, orchestrated, the financial scheme. So this will be the idea, with a target of, by the end of the year, having a concrete and really call for the big gigafactories. So that's the idea as of today.
Thanks so much for that, Juan. Gaspar, moving to talk a little bit about EU cloud and data centers. The action plan states that the Union currently lags behind the US and China, like you mentioned, in terms of available data center capacity, and it relies heavily on infrastructure that is controlled by other regions of the world. Do you think it's possible to repatriate data, its storage and processing to the EU? What would this require, and what have some of the challenges been?
So we fully think it's possible, and I think that's this constructive spirit of the AI continent. We actually announced in the continent, in the action plan, an AI cloud, AI development act that will be adopted end of the year, beginning of next year. And the objective of that act is to at least triple the data center capacity in Europe in the next 5 to 7 years. How we want to do that and why we want to do that. I think we want to complement, to have a continuum of infrastructure from, let's say, the initial training of AI models, very complex AI models on the supercomputers, but also have the cloud capacity for the more downstream elements of the training, like fine-tuning or inference, and it's really important to provide to the EU actors this continuum. How we are going to do that? I mean, one of the main difficulty that we have for the moment is the length and complexity of the permitting process for having data centers installed in the EU. We want to make it easier to have the permitting for the data centers by respecting also very strict kind of criteria on the environmental dimension. We have a lot of discussion on the energy use of data centers, on the water use of these centers. So we want to have these criteria for a kind of pre-selection of the candidates for the data centers. We will look at this, and once these criteria are respected, we will speed up the process. So that's an important point. We also have an issue which is related to sovereignty. It's really important that governments, public administration, but also companies benefit from EU-based cloud for certain critical use cases, and that's part of the equation. So it's a way to, provide the right environment for getting more investments, EU investments, but also international investments. It's not just about public money, or it's also welcoming investment from the rest of the world on data centers that are respecting certain criteria.
Very glad to hear that the Commission is thinking very deeply about these issues, including about the environment. Data plays a key role clearly in the AI lifecycle, like we've just discussed. Against this background, the AI Continent Action Plan has announced a new data union strategy to make more data available to enable AI development and innovation in the EU. Could you tell us more about this forthcoming strategy, and will this be different from the European Strategy for Data, which gave rise to the Data Governance Act and the Data Act?
I will not go into the comparison of the two strategies. They are both extremely important. The first strategy in 2020 kind of really set the internal market for data. What we're looking at there with this data union strategy foreseen for the second half of 2025 is really to boost innovation, to really boost the sharing of data among sectors, among actors. So it is about increasing the interoperability of data. It is about setting the criteria for the actors to feel safe to share actually the data. When we are speaking to companies, they are ready to do that. They have already started in the past to work on these common data spaces at European level. But they are also very cautious about sharing business secrets or data very sensitive to their industrial process. So we need to provide them with the confidence, the trust environment for sharing the data. We have actually an consultation, a public consultation, until the 18th of July, where we really try to understand what the actors on the ground need for being more comfortable in sharing the data. I think this is really the key element. I think in the spirit of innovation, we will also look at streamlining the different legislation in the field of data to make sure that there is less administrative burden in that process. So I think the key message is innovation and creating an environment which makes it easy to share data among sectors. This is also very much linked to AI factories, because this will be done also in that AI innovation ecosystem.
And another question for you around data. So this is definitely a big topic. Within the data strategy context, could you explain what the common European data spaces and the data labs are?
Well, as I was saying, we are not starting from scratch with the AI continent. Since 2020, we have established, in the context of the data strategy, common data spaces. We have 14 sectors represented there. And this is like a stakeholders-driven initiative where stakeholders are working together on protocols for sharing data among their sectors. What is common in the common data space are the governance structure and the infrastructure. For instance, the Commission is working on Simple, which is a software for making it easy to share data between data spaces. So this is also working on the infrastructure. Now, data labs, they are the future. I mean, building on what is already there with the common data spaces. Data labs, they will be building on the AI factories and on the AI gigafactories. So we will do our part within the EU ecosystem for making sure that the data available in one AI factories, for instance, in Italy or in France, working on agriculture or let's say on cybersecurity, that this data is shared with another AI factory in another country working on the same sector. So to pool the data from different AI factories and also linking the existing common data spaces with the AI factories. So we really want to have all our tools from the AI ecosystem working together and making it easier for the developers to actually access the data.
Thanks for that, Gaspar. One final question for this segment before we take questions from Slido. As part of the AI innovation package to support AI startups and SMEs, the Commission has announced the Gen AI for EU initiative, which is a 700 million investment supporting the development of generative AI applications and use cases in the public sector and 14 industrial ecosystems. Could you tell us more about this initiative? How will it be implemented? And what do you think the expected outcomes are?
Well, I think what is important to see in the action plan is that we are covering the full life cycle of the AI development. I think Gen AI for EU is really upstream, looking at the development of specific AI solutions for the sectors. So with the 700 million that you were mentioning, we are actually having calls for proposal for researchers to develop specific models with specific systems and solutions replying to the needs of the sectors. So that's really important, and what they are also doing with this initiative is to bridge the gap between EU made in Europe, if you want, AI solution of developers and users. So we have notably what we call the AI on-demand platform, which is a kind of digital marketplace for putting together the users and the developers. And this will connect very nicely with what we also have in the AI continent, which is the Apply AI strategy. We will speak about that later. This is really to use the added value of the European economy. We have strong sectors, so if we develop specific models for the sectors and we find clients actually within the EU economy, it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. Great, thank you so much for that. I'll now be taking some questions from Slido. So the first question is perhaps, can you explain in more practical terms, and I think this is related to the AI factories, so Juan, maybe you can take this. Is it easy for a PhD student to get access to AI factory supercomputers for research?
So the answer is, in principle, yes. So we have facilitated different access tracks to different type of users, including PhD students. Okay. So what I would strongly suggest this candidate or this person is that he really goes to the RHPC website, and he will see there the different tracks that we have enabled. One of which specifically related to science, so to see whether he can fit in that track. Otherwise, there are different complementary tracks that he can really make his bid in order to get compute. Of course, his proposal or his request has to demonstrate that compute resources are necessary, HPC advanced compute resources are necessary for his activity. In principle, he should try there to see how he will be signaled and taken care of, to see whether his request can be addressed. So again, he should go to the HPC website. And an element I forgot to signal before, all the access that we enable is for free. Okay, this is a key element I would like to reinforce.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good point. Great. I think we had to have a question on data, considering how much we delved into it. So the question is, how will EU boost entrepreneurship and data ownership? Will EU funds only organizations and NGOs? I guess this is a statement. What about individuals and startups?
So I think we will go more into the details in the second part on the Apply AI strategy and all the tools that we have developed for SMEs to access this environment, to access AI factories, to access data. We have notably a network of European digital innovation hubs. We'll come back to them. We really want to have tools for, allowing the company to find the data, to find the models that exist that were already developed in Europe, and we are funding this. As Juan was saying, this is free of access, and this network is really helping the company to find the right AI factory, to find the right developer, and to guide them until they've found the right data sources. So I'll go more into the details afterwards, but yes, we are thinking about startup as the primary focus of the AI continent. We know that we have 6,800 of them in Europe, striving, full of promises, and we want to use these startups as the basis for developing the AI continent.
Thank you very much to our viewers for these questions. Keep sending them in. There was also a question on eddies, but we will get to that in a second. And this was a perfect segue to our second section, which will be talking about AI adoption and AI skills. So another important dimension of the AI Continent Action Plan is to foster AI uptake by EU industry and the public sector. And this implies that AI is being developed in the Union by AI-skilled people. So Gaspar, let's jump into the Apply AI strategy. In this context, my question to you is, how do we encourage or incentivize economic actors or state administration to use AI? The action plan also refers to the forthcoming Apply AI strategy, where there is an ongoing call for evidence and a public consultation, which closes on 4 June. So maybe you could take us through the objectives of the Apply AI strategy, its main features, and if you have some information on the results of the call and the consultation yet.
Thanks a lot first to mention the consultation, because I think this is really the starting point. The key concept of the Apply AI strategy is that we don't want to go top down from, let's say, the sectors that we know are important, and then to impose solutions to the companies. That's the other way around. With the consultation, we have a bottom-up approach. We need to understand in each of the sectors, where are the most promising use cases that we need to develop at European level. For that, maybe we have administrative burden, or the need for more research, or we need kind of other instruments that we have not developed yet, and this is really the subject of this consultation. Back to one of the key concepts of the AI continent. We want to develop an AI in Europe, which is an AI that we want, that is serving also our own identity in the European Union. Part of this identity is the very strong industrial sectors. And clearly we see companies in the automotive sector, in the energy sector, that are looking for European-made AI solution for helping them to gain productivity. This could be, for instance, developing autonomous car and having the right framework for testing them. This could be improving the network in the energy sector for better integrating renewables, in our sectors. We do not have preconceived scheme that we will impose on company. On the contrary, we are having a dialogue with them to get their insight. What is really important is that we identify concrete cases and kind of regulatory or policy gaps, and this is what the Apply AI strategy is about. So 4th of June is the end of the consultation. Please send us all your ideas, and we will listen to you very carefully. What we are also doing within the European Commission is to be in contact with all the DGs. So the specialists in DG Move, on transportation, in DG Energy, on making the network more intelligent, they are telling us their experience and how we should kind of define these use cases. This is the state of play. We are starting really to draft the different chapters of the Apply AI strategy with the objective to have it adopted in September. But this will be a continuous process, of course. Uptake of AI in company is a major subject for the European Union. We know that more or less 15% of the SMEs of the companies are taking AI on board. We need to progress on that. And everything that we were discussing before is related to that. Trust in sharing data, access to AI factories, having also the tools like the European Digital Innovation Hubs for helping them to trust AI and to use AI.
Absolutely. Speaking of this consultation, you should also be able to see a QR code through which you can find out more about this Apply AI consultation that will soon be ending in June. You talked already a little bit about use cases, Gaspar, and you gave us plenty of great examples. But along with the Apply AI strategy, the action plan does refer a lot to the use case-based approach. Is there anything else you want to share about it, or do you want to give us some more specific examples?
Well, I think what is really important is to find the right balance between, a certain level of generality where we can have policy actions and very concrete cases where we are actually making a difference. So the use case concept is a bit in between, So we will look how to bring together a number of elements. I give you one example. Back to transportation. We don't have yet in Europe, easy to use testing possibilities for autonomous car. It's very complex. It's very difficult to set up. Also cross-border. This could be one possibility to see how we could, bring together specialists in the field of transportation, in the field of legislation, to see how we could make it easier in Europe to have autonomous car being tested in real life environment. So this is a combination of elements. The same would apply in agriculture for improving, crops, the capacity to check how the crops are developing using satellite imaging and using AIs for pattern recognition. This could bring huge benefits for the agriculture sector, but also for the productivity. So we are in contact with the sectors, with the companies, for really going into the details of what is not there yet in terms of support in terms of policy action, and we will address these issues.
Wonderful. Among the various tools that have been put in place by the EU to enhance AI development and deployment, the action plan also refers to the already existing European Digital Innovation Hubs, or as we like to call them, EDIs for short, and to propose to adapt them to the AI ecosystem. So maybe you could tell us, Gaspar, what the function is of EDIs and what role they could play in advancing AI deployment for the future.
Well, I think this conversation already showed what the EDIs are about. We have a lot of initiatives. We have, AI factories, Gigafactories in the future. We have, common data spaces. So many elements are available. I mean, what is difficult for a company, especially for an SME, is to find the right entry door for each of these different initiatives. The European Digital Innovation Hubs are doing that hand in hand with AI factories and with Gigafactories to increase and improve the access to the different actors of the EU AI innovation ecosystem. What they are, it's very simple. They are local kind of digital and AI development centers. They will become AI experience centers. This is really for business owners to understand very concretely what AI and digitalization can bring to their business. And we know that this is a difficult conversation. This is not something that you discuss with somebody you do not know. You need to trust a local partner to really go the next step. And this is what European Digital Innovation Hubs are about. Local players really kind of in the ecosystem of their region that can guide a business owner to a digital partner, or through the AI on-demand platform to developers that are already having a solution made in Europe for them. It's a bridge between the different initiatives of the AI innovation ecosystem. In the future, they will play this role, in close cooperation with AI factories, also to collect information from the ground and bring that back to the different actors, notably on legislation. We'll come back to the AI Act and its implementation. This network at regional level will be very useful for getting a sense of how to implement the legislation, what are the questions, and to bring back this information to the AI office.
Thank you. One of the questions we actually got was about the role of eddies and what role they might play in the AI factories. I think you touched upon this, but in case you wanted to add anything, Juan, to this.
Indeed, one of the key features of the eddies is that they are regional and locally based. So they can really contact with the real user, with the end user. So they can really attract primarily a massive amount of users saying what a factory is, how it can serve the business, as signaled by Gaspar. So they can really foster and enhance the uptake of the factories by local and regional users. So I think they are key fundamental activity in order to ensure the success of factories. We are working closely with them, and they have a role to play in order to really enhance the activities of the AI factory.
Thanks for that inclusion, Juan. Gaspar, we'll now talk a little bit about AI skills, which lie at the heart of the Apply AI strategy, and we've referred to this. It strongly echoes the AI literacy provision as well, which is in the EU AI Act. How does the European Commission plan to strengthen AI skills, and has this been a challenge?
Well, it's been a key discussion within the AI Continent Action Plan. I mean, without skills, the entire plan is not, it's difficult to implement. So I would say we have three main elements, three main strategic dimensions in the AI Continent on skills. The first one is to increase the number of training within the European Union on AI. So it's related to the AI Act because there is this obligation for companies to increase the literacy of the people working for the companies in the field of AI, but also more generally in the AI, in the European society. If we want to increase the uptake of AI, we also need to have the general knowledge on AI that is developed. We will also make sure that very talented EU PhD students or researchers that are working in the US or in other parts of the world might see the EU AI continent as an opportunity to come back. So this is a very important point. And as I was saying in the introduction, we also welcome the talents from the rest of the world. To be more precise on the tools, we will be developing what we call an AI Skills Academy that will foster the development of degrees for masters, for bachelor, for PhD within the European Union. Working very closely with the member states who have competence on education, but this will be really a joint effort to increase the number of possibilities. We will also have returnship schemes, so really to help these researchers that are of European origin and working in big tech. We will also have fellowship schemes for attracting talents from the rest of the world. We have also a scheme that we are developing a bit similar to the green card in the US. This is the blue card initiative to facilitate the access to talents from the rest of the world to the EU.
Wonderful. Juan, is there anything you'd like to add around AI talent and perhaps make the link with AI factories as well?
Indeed. My first comment would be that Europe has skills and talent. Just to be very clear, we have to retain that and we have to nurture that. So for factories, skills is one of the key elements of the factories to be successful. Factories work as a factory, so all the different elements of the factory need to work together in order to ensure that the ultimate goal is achieved. So what have we asked from the factories? Each factory has provided a skills plan on what are the needs of their stakeholders, locally, regionally, and nationally. They have done some sort of homework, and they've shared with us a specific plan per different needs, or what are the different solutions to be provided. So for the really advanced AI specialists, there will be also courses so that they keep up to date with the latest developments, latest technology, etc., etc. For those that are lower ranked, they will have specific targeted, bespoke also training services. For first user that wants to uptake AI, name it an SME, name it a normal citizen, that will also be served. So we want really to cover the full spectrum of activities, and these trainings will be taken by the AI factory. They will be offered. In addition, some of the AI factories are specialized in specific domains. So there will be some sort of networking call so that if company A is looking for training, for expertise in a domain that is not provided in the local AI factory, for example, Spain, there will be a call, a networking activity, so that that talent or that expertise is found somewhere else, and that will be enabled. In addition, just to complement also on the activities on what Gaspar has said, there's also like an AI factories domain or angle to the AI skills, and in that area we are exploring heavily to have a mini pilot on fellowships. So AI factories fellowships. The idea again is to really, in order to enhance the AI factories, attract them somehow talent from elsewhere to really complement the skills there. And finally, we have to retain talent in Europe. We have had a tradition that we are very good in developing talent, and suddenly they go to the US. There's a brain drain that has happened previously. I think now with the AI continent, we have provided the necessary tools to keep them. So all the activities in terms of regulatory aspects, and one of them is compute. Previously, all the researchers said, I need compute to develop my activities. I need compute to undertake. Now that is being provided. So I think we are providing the necessary elements in Europe so that talent, not only that we attract, but that we retain talent in Europe.
Great, thank you so much. We've come to the end of the second section of this webinar, so I'll be taking a few more questions. We try to address a key question that has also been raised by the audience again, which is how do we attract talent and train new workforces at the same time? In case there's anything you'd like to add to make our point a bit stronger, feel free, Juan or Gaspar.
Well, I think that's the entire goal of the AI continent. It's to make it clear that Europe is a great place for the development of AI. We have the computing capacity, and we will have these Gigafactories that are great points of attraction for researchers, but also for developers. We have a pool of training at European level, and for companies, for SMEs, we also have a way to guide them to the right training through the European Digital Innovation Hubs. What we want to do is to make it now easy for the company and for the researchers to find the elements that we have been put in place. And we are really ready to work with the audience to find the information, to guide them to what is available for them.
Great. One question probably that will go to you, Gaspar, is most of the applications that were mentioned are more machine learning and AI. Are we aiming to broaden machine learning adoption or broader general purpose AI creation and use?
Well, I mean, we have a dual objective in the AI continent. Yes, general purpose AI model. Yes, very large next generation model. We want to develop them, and that's the reason why we are serious about setting the right infrastructure for that. But as I was saying, we are also looking very precisely at sector-specific application for AI systems, and we want to combine these two approaches, not kind of favoring one towards the others. We really think that we have to develop the continuum of deployment and development of AI from the kind of latest generation, very complex, tens of trillions of parameters AI models to the very sector-specific systems.
Great, thanks for that. And a question specifically on Apply AI, which I think is very good timing. Considering building open source tools to help innovators in AI, what funding is available from the EU, I think related to this? Does the EU definition of open source mean that any monetization is disqualified?
Well, I mean, on OpenAI, I think this is also something that we really advocate with the AI continent as one of the identity elements from the European AI, if you want. On the specifics of the financing for open source, I would really like that you guide this specific question to us, and with the help of the European Digital Innovation Hubs, we might find a specific link for the person who asked the question.
Great, and maybe a final question from our audience. How can we use AI capabilities to boost entrepreneurship?
Well, the signal of the AI continent is that we are in a phase where innovation is really key. We really want to boost innovation. I think in each of the chapters of the AI continent, the question of access is at the center of our attention. Access to infrastructure. We discussed about AI factories and AI gigafactories. We are designing specific policy access to make it easy for companies to use these supercomputers. We know that in the past, maybe from time to time, it was a bit difficult to queue up and then to come back to supercomputers. We know that, and we are dealing with that with the new access policy. Access to data, making it easy for a company to access data. The same for skills. We were speaking about all the training possibilities. I'm going back to the European Digital Innovation Hubs. It's not up to the company to try to understand by themselves where to find these trainings. It's us in the European Union to guide them to the right entry door, and we will continue to do that.
Great, thanks very much. And with that, we have arrived to our third and final part of this webinar, which will be focusing on fostering AI regulatory compliance and simplification. So the final part of our discussion will look at this regulatory dimension of the AI Continent Action Plan and the upcoming Apply AI strategy. Currently, the AI Act is being implemented, and this implementation process is key to supporting AI economic growth and innovation in the Union. Laura, I'm glad to finally key you in this very important part of the discussion to discuss the AI Act Service Desk. So the European Commission has announced in the AI Continent Action Plan the creation of this AI Act Service Desk, conceived as a central information hub on the AI Act. When will the AI Service Desk be operational? I'm sure a lot of our viewers want to know. And what will its role be, and who is able to use this service?
Thanks a lot. If you allow me, I will just very quickly take it back and complement to what Gaspar has said in the very beginning, why the AI Act is an integral part of the AI Continent Action Plan. We always had two important objectives with the AI Act. The first one is to create a single market for AI systems, one set of rules across 27 member states and across all sectors. So that's a very important objective, a clear regulatory framework to develop and to use AI. And then secondly, and this ties very much to the Apply AI strategy that we've talked about, we want to foster the uptake of AI. And there is also a societal mistrust, there is legal uncertainty, there are questions. And that is one of the key objectives of the AI Act, to address these concerns and make sure that there's trust in the use of AI. Now, where are we with the AI Act? It was adopted last year. You've said it already, 1st of August 2024, it entered into force, but it doesn't fully apply yet. It's being rolled out progressively, so some of the provisions have already started to apply. There was a webinar earlier this year to look into them, that's the prohibitions in particular. But most of the rules will actually start to apply over the course of the next 2 years. And we in the Commission, we're very committed, and it's our priority to make sure that the implementation goes smoothly and that the rules are actually workable. And we are engaging. We've gathered first experiences with the implementation, and we see that there are a lot of questions that stakeholders ask themselves, and they are valid. Questions like, who are my local contact points? Are my activities relevant under the AI Act? If they are, am I a provider? Am I a deployer? And so to find a way to provide answers in a comprehensive way, we have come up with this idea of this AI Act Service Desk. It will, as you have said, be a central information platform, but there will also be occasion to ask questions and receive tailor-made answers. So it's not only an information hub, it's also a place to interact with the AI Office. It's a service provided by the AI Office. We will be launching the information platform in July of this year, and then we will roll out the functionalities until the end of this year. And in principle, everybody can consult. That there is no limitation. Of course, we want to address in particular those who maybe not have the means to ask for advice or legal support, so in particular smaller stakeholders. But in principle, everyone will be able to access the functionalities and ask questions.
Great. Well, this sounds like a very exciting, soon-to-be-launched development, so stay tuned for that. Gaspar, back to you. How will the AI Act Service Desk interact with other elements of the EU ecosystem in support for AI stakeholders, such as the EDIs, or the European Digital Innovation Hubs, and national regulatory sandboxes?
So again, the key activity in the coming months will be to link the different initiatives. Some of the large companies in the European Union, they already know about the help desk. They already are ready to ask questions and interact, and that's great. Many companies in the regions, they do not know yet this help desk, and our role through the European Digital Innovation Hubs will be to let them know that first it exists, and that it's free, and that they can come up with questions and that we will answer. So we will use the network of the 200 and plus European Digital Innovation Hubs to reach out to the company, to make publicity, and we will gather questions. The hubs will be channeling these questions to the desk, and this will be actually a very useful feedback mechanism, because many of the questions might be of the same nature. Am I a provider, or is it applicable to my company? So we will be able to develop a Q&A type of answers that we will be putting on our website, and that will help companies to understand where they stand and to get information from the ground. So in a way, we will be pushing information through the help desk, but through the network of European Digital Innovation Hubs, we will be getting feedback on how to best implement the AI Act.
Wonderful. Laura, the Commission has also said that the AI Office will continue providing guidance on the AI Act's application in support of compliance. What are the main issues and domains concerned here? And when will the estimated timeline for future guidance be released?
Thank you for the question. We have been actually tasked as European Commission in the AI Act to develop guidance on the practical application. We do so in two different ways. On the one hand, we are developing Commission guidelines, such as the ones we presented earlier this year on the prohibited practices on the AI system definition. And we are also steering the development of co-regulatory instruments to detail out how, in really practical terms, the AI Act can be complied with. Here, the most important examples are, of course, the Code of Practice on General Purpose AI Models that's currently under development, which is steered by the Commission while developed by the stakeholders themselves, and the development of standards in support of the high-risk requirements and their application in practice. We are developing these support instruments that aim to explain how the AI Act should be practically applied. Following the timeline of the AI Act, as I said, the AI Act applies progressively. There are certain milestones. So what we aim to do is always make sure that there are guidance instruments in place in advance of a new milestone coming. So this is a bit the timeline that we will follow. In certain cases, the AI Act even requires us to adopt instruments a bit sooner or specifies a concrete date. For example, one very anticipated guidance document is the guidance on high-risk classification, when AI systems will be deemed high risk and therefore met with the majority of requirements and obligations for providers. And here it's specified that this should be adopted by the Commission by 2nd of February of 2026. So this is what we are following here. Currently, we are very much looking ahead to the next big milestone that is to come, which is 2nd of August of this year, when the rules on general purpose AI models will start to apply and the national and European governance will fully have to be rolled out and in place. So the next things, or the things we are working on right now with priority, is the finalization of the Code of Practice on General Purpose AI models. And in parallel to that is one larger package, the template on data that, or the template on a summary of what kind of data has been used in the training of a general purpose AI model that the AI Office is obliged to adopt, as well as guidelines on the scope of the rules of general purpose AI models. These are 3 deliverables we're working on with priority, but then also we will soon be launching calls for expression of interest for the governance bodies, for the advisory forum, for the scientific panel. So all of this is in the pipeline so that we are ready on 2nd of August of this year. And here I want to emphasize again how the AI Act Service Desk will feed into all of this, because this will really be a central place where stakeholders can also find these documents that we are preparing and how they link, understand how they can be applied in practice. They will be complemented with practical examples, repositories of good practices, for example. So the idea here is also to have one place where stakeholders can receive directions to navigate all of these different instruments and get additional straightforward information on what rules are already applicable or how they may be impacted by the regulatory framework.
Thanks, Laura. That was a very helpful overview of the discussion. So the final question for you for this segment, before we go back to audience questions, is the European Commission has also announced, as part of the Apply AI strategy, the launch of a process to identify stakeholders' regulatory challenges, notably in implementing the AI Act, but also beyond AI in implementing the EU digital market law. Could you tell us more about this vision and the objective of the Commission? What role could stakeholders, for example, play in this dynamic?
With pleasure. So we were speaking already a lot about the Apply AI strategy. The idea here is to boost the uptake of AI, the adoption of AI. And one important question to ask is, of course, what are challenges in doing so? And some of them may be regulatory challenges. So as part of the Apply AI consultation that we've already spoken about, we are also asking questions on these particular aspects and also asking questions on implementation challenges related to the AI Act. I highlighted it already. Our goal is to make the AI Act as workable as possible, make sure that the rules are clear, that they are easy to navigate, and that they fully deliver on their objectives. So we are trying to gather feedback from stakeholders, how we can support them better in this process and what the challenges are in practical terms. So this is also a call. The Apply AI consultation is still open until 4th of June. So we're very eager to hear this feedback and then to develop measures coming from it. Now, a bit related to that, of course, we have, as a Commission, a general ambition to simplify our laws and ensure that the implementation is clear and successful. So the outcomes of this consultation will feed also into this regulatory thinking in the broader term, but as a starting point, they will feed into measures that we are developing to support the implementation of the AI Act.
Great. Thanks for that. I'm going to jump straight into questions from our viewers, so feel free to send in more questions. And I'll start immediately with something that you just referred to, Lara. So the question is, how can we make the AI Act attractive? Most companies and startups are afraid of more regulation, even if they are already meeting standards in product safety or cybersecurity.
This is one of the ambitions we have with the AI Continent Action Plan, with the AI Act Service Desk, with our outreach in general. We want to pass very clearly the message: the AI Act is here to help. It creates an internal market. It follows a risk-based approach, so the majority of AI applications are not affected by new rules at all. But we are eager to hear the stakeholder feedback as to how we can do this better, which is why we have launched this consultation. And we are looking into instruments that we can develop that support them in this journey of compliance and addressing and taking away the concerns that this regulation is not going to impair innovation, but it can actually be a big advantage. Having AI that meets the AI Act rules can be a strong selling point for AI made in Europe, and we should look at it this way, and we're here to make this a reality.
Thanks for that, Laura. Okay, a couple more questions from the audience. If a company fine-tunes or makes modifications to generative models from third parties like OpenAI, would it be deemed a provider of AI? When will it be considered, or I guess at what stage would it be considered as a provider? who would like to take this?
I'm happy to take it.
Go ahead, Laura.
So with the AI Act, we are introducing rules for providers of general purpose AI models, which are these large generative AI models. That's a bit the terminology of the AI Act for them. And it's a valid question from what point onwards of fine-tuning and targeting such a model to your own application leads to yourself becoming a provider. And this is actually what we are addressing with the guidelines on general purpose AI models, where we want to clarify this and draw these lines very clearly, also in technical terms, setting a threshold for what we think this fine-tuning, the relevant fine-tuning for your a company to become themselves a provider should be. In a nutshell, the ambition is to set this bar quite high because we are focusing, or our understanding of the rules is that they try to focus on the base models. But more guidance is to come in the guidelines for general purpose AI models. We have very recently launched and already closed the consultation. So thank you to everybody who participated in this. We are now evaluating them, and these guidelines are to come as a package with the code of practice.
Great, thanks for that, Laura. Another question. In your opinion, how could public administration benefit from the EU's AI regulatory framework? And are there any areas of the current regulation that you feel are blind spots?
I mean, maybe I will not reply on regulation itself, but on how public administration can benefit from the support schemes. The European Digital Innovation Hubs are serving companies and local public administration. So if local public administration want to understand how to use AI, for instance, on intelligent lighting system or circulation within their local environment, we have the European Digital Innovation Hubs there at their disposal to understand the local, the national and European level regulation which is at hand, but also to test actually solution before they implement them. We have what we call the testing and experimentation facilities. They will be also linked to the regulatory sandboxes that we were discussing previously on the how to implement the AI system at national level. So these testing and experimentation facilities, they help also local public administration to test AI solutions and before you actually deploy them at large scale. So I'm happy to guide them to explain how we can use these services for the uptake of AI in public administration.
And I would just like to add to the question of regulation in particular. I think using AI in the public administration is necessary to increase efficiency. But it's also particularly sensitive because often when AI is involved in decision making, decisions taken by public authorities can be particularly important for citizens who are interacting with them. So what the AI Act does in its high-risk approach, or in its risk-based approach, is look at use cases of AI in public administration and see where there is a certain risk to fundamental rights and classify them as high risk. And then AI applications used in this context will have to meet certain requirements. There will have to be a certain level of transparency ensured around the use of this AI, and also right for citizens who receive or are subject to decisions that were made involving high-risk applications to receive explanations about this. And this is why we think the AI Act is actually a strong added value, because it will provide the guardrails and the conditions to make sure that there's trust in also public administration using AI. We think it's necessary the public administration uses AI, certainly. But we have to keep this other dimension in mind, and indeed, that's one of the objectives of the AI Act.
Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, a few more questions from our audience. So the question is, you discussed the importance of integrating AI and data capacity. Are there any efforts planned as part of the presented action plan and strategy to better integrate robotics into this ecosystem as well?
Robotics will be clearly one of the elements that we will have in the Apply AI strategy. So part of the manufacturing and AI, I mean, robotics is a key sector or subsector for using AI and improve productivity. So we've been working on that for decades now, in a way. But in the Apply AI strategy, we will continue that discussion. We will deepen that discussion. This will be surely one of the key sectors in this strategy.
Great, thanks for that. How will the AI continent plan work in the healthcare sector? How will it interplay with the European health data space?
Again, health is one of the priority sectors. Back to what Laura was saying on the importance of using AI also in public sector, but not only. But I mean the great gains that can come with that. But it needs to be based on trust. And so we really think that health is a case study for bringing this trust to the citizens, for increasing uptake, and at the same time creating a huge innovation possibility for EU developers. This will be a dedicated sector in the Apply AI strategy. We're working on that. But we see a huge potential for the health sector, to the point that we have a testing and experimentation facility that is looking at health as its main sector. And we also see in AI factories important sectorial specialization around the health sector.
Just to complement, indeed, health has been highlighted as the most important sector for the factories. I think almost all but two of the existing factories have identified health as one of the critical or priority domains. We're going to work with all the health collectively to see can we enhance the European health sector is really strong in terms of medicine manufacturers, etc., biotech, medical devices. So we really want to enhance that. So I think now also the AI factories are a tool to continue to develop in the health sector in Europe. And I encourage all those participants that are interested in that they contact their AI factory, and that they can be provided with the necessary expertise and suggestions to see how they can take the inquiries further.
Great. Perhaps related to this in a way, is there a plan, or is there a plan to wrap the concept of AI sandboxes around AI factories?
Indeed. So at the end of the day, I would like to just recall that the AI factory will really provide many different services. One of those is also to provide a secured and trusted environment, so that different users are reassured that the data that they can run there or that they can share there, they can do it in full confidence. In that context, we are also exploring whether AI sandboxes can be deployed, tested also in AI factories, specific ones, to undertake these activities. So the answer is yes. We are still in development, just to be very clear that the AI factories have started very recently, but indeed we really want to provide the necessary reassurance and trust. This is an issue that was mentioned by Gaspar, and this will be located in some of the AI factories.
Okay.
If I can complement on that, the main message to the audience is, if you don't know where to enter, AI factories, Gigafactories, EDIs, come back to the AI office or to your local EDIs, and we will guide you to the right entry point. We will not let a company or a citizen be blocked, in the kind of large landscape of initiatives. We will guide you to the right entry door.
Thanks for that. Juan, there's a question to you. You've said that the specs of the AI factories are tailored to startups and SME needs. What are they, these specs, and how do you collect their feedback and needs?
So, foremost, the AI factories, we have switched our supercomputing capabilities from basically an high-performance computing approach, which was very much specified for big science. So they were doing simulations of the activities. Now we have switched the architectures of our supercomputers, and they're very much AI optimized. So now it's very much GPU led, so that all the jobs can really enhance, accelerate the training of AI jobs. That would be my first thing. Secondly, the AI factories are designed and set up in particular to serve the AI community. Okay, so that's the main focus, in particular European AI startups. So what the AI factories are going to provide the necessary support, just building on what Gaspar said, from A to Z to any user. They contact either the HPC joint undertaking for access to support and services or compute, or the specific factory. They will take care of you from A to Z so that you're not left alone. They will guide you, they will help you, so that all the necessary elements are there in order to try to see whether you can be a successful use of the factory, so that your idea, your solution, your application can be taken forward. You can test it, you can deploy it. So that's the key message behind the concept of an AI factory.
Wonderful. Maybe the last couple of questions from our viewers. Thank you again for sending them in. How strong is the idea to simplify standardization landscape and provide free access to AI standards? This is following the ruling of the Court of Justice that EU standards require more openness.
I mean, probably it's a bit between the AI Act implementation and what the support actions are doing. I mean, the answer is of course we want to simplify as much as possible, and at the same time have standards that are creating a competitive edge also for our EU developers. So we will help companies if they also are looking for the development of specific standards or to understand the standardization landscape. Let's contact the European Digital Innovation Hubs. We'll guide them through the most important standards, the ones that are applicable to their business. But we will also make sure that their voice is heard in the process of developing the AI-related standards.
Wonderful, thank you. I think that brings us to the end of the questions that we're taking as well for this segment, and to the end of this webinar where we've looked at the AI Continent Action Plan and Apply AI Strategy. Of course, I'd like to thank our three guests for taking us through this, for sharing about the AI landscape, and I hope that these concepts have become a lot clearer, and that all of our viewers know where to go if they need any of their questions answered, or if they're looking to understand more about AI. We've talked a lot about eddies, AI factories, supercomputers. I've learned a lot. I hope that has been the case also for our viewers. So thank you to the three of you for joining us. And one final thing from our viewers, thank you very much for sending in your questions. It really helps to make sure that we are able to be more interactive and listen to the needs of our viewers. One final thing that you can do for us, and you should be able to see this on the screen now, please do share your feedback with us so we can continue to improve these webinars and the efforts that we provide to our stakeholders through the AI Pact. You can see the QR code on your screen, and if you want to stay up to date, which I hope you do, on the AI Pact upcoming events and webinars, then there's also a QR code which you can check out now. So with that, I will wrap up this fifth webinar of the AI Pact. I really look forward to and hope that you will join us for the next webinar, which will happen sometime in the next month. I've lost track of time now. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely day.